Spring is almost here. Decided to get out and enjoy what's left of the snow. And I'm bringing this, what you're looking at now, the Insta360 Ace Pro. This is our latest like action camera, and this thing is packing a lot of features and a lot of innovation, maybe I guess you'd say, that brings new things to the action camera market. That, if we're doing something like this might be the perfect camera, but I'm not quite sure yet. Let's check it out.
At first glance, the Insta360 Ace Pro might look like any other action camera we've had before, and well, I mean, it pretty much does. This is the basic form factor we've been used to. I mean, even Insta360 themselves have created a camera that look pretty similar to this. But there's a few things built in that I do think make it rather unique, and maybe a reason why you'd want to choose this. And for me, really, it comes down to hardware. I really like that they included the magnetic mount so that you can go from accessories and then easily take it off without having to unscrew something. That is a nice feature to have. We've seen it other places, but having it here is really helpful.
My favorite thing about this camera by far is the flip up screen. So when I'm filming myself and filming us like this, I can actually see what we're filming and what we're doing. They usually on other action cameras include a little small screen next to the lens, and this one does have a screen there, but it's small, it's hard to compose, it doesn't give you the full image most of the time, and if it does, it's very small. This, it's bigger, it looks good, and I can actually compose and see what I'm filming. And the fact that I don't need, a separate attachment, I don't need to bring another camera with me, like this is a nice feature.
And overall, I mean, this camera just feels really solid and well built. Out of all the action cameras out there that I've used, and I've used pretty much all the big ones, this feels the most robust and definitely has features in it that make it, I think, worth using over other ones.
When talking about action cameras like this, I think a lot of people's first question is, should I get this one? Should I get a GoPro? Should I get a DJI Osmo Action? Which one of these should I buy? And it's a good question, but I think that's the second question you should ask. I think the first one you should ask is, do I even need this, or will something like my phone, get most of the job done that I really need? Because this is probably going to be with me all the time, and the action camera I'm going to have to decide to take with me. There's benefits to both. Obviously, with your phone, the best benefit is that it's going to be with you all the time. Now, action cameras are just so much more versatile. They're waterproof, they're dust resistant, they can take an impact, so they do have their place.
Now for me, hardware is the killer feature, but also at the same time, the image quality has to look good as well. So inside this camera is a 1/1.3 inch sensor, which is about as big as you get in this type of camera right now. And that means you are getting a lot more light than a smaller sensor you are typically used to. And theoretically, that means you're getting a better image. And also, besides that, this camera is capable of shooting in 8K up to 24 frames per second. 8K in a camera this size is pretty crazy. But if you're not in perfect lighting, I don't know that 8K is what you'd want to be using. So this is a quad Bayer sensor. So basically when you're shooting in 4K, it takes that 8K and puts 4 of those pixels together to make a 4K image. So with doing that, the idea is you can get better noise performance. It's more sensitive to light so that the small sensor can work at its best. And really the only thing you're sacrificing there is a tiny bit of resolution that in most situations, I don't think you even notice. But what this does enable is something they call clarity zoom. So this is a way to zoom in without losing much detail, if any at all. And basically what that does is go from that 4K image that is multiple pixels put together, and instead just goes to a 1:1 image. So you are getting that reach and zoom without really losing too much quality. That is a nice feature to have. Now, another thing that 1/1.3 inch sensor enables is better low light video. Now with that, of course, there's going to be software needed to clean up the image and make it look as good as possible. And Insta360 included a mode called Pure Video, and basically it does just that. This is the low light mode for the Ace Pro, and if you're gonna be shooting in low light, this is what you want to use. Along with that 1/1.3 inch sensor, there's also a 5nm chip built inside that uses AI to do denoising to give that low light the best look possible. I mean, small cameras like this never look good in low light, and well, this is about as good as you can get. And it makes the clips completely usable, even though, a year or two ago, having a camera like this in low light might as well have been pointless. Now, in terms of image quality, well, I mean, you could see the test images here and decide for yourself. I think it looks pretty good. Now, that being said, I do wish there was an option for an even higher bitrate to get even more data. I also wish there was a log profile like some of the competitors have. Right now, you only get a flat option, which, you know, does help, but it's not exactly the best for color grading. But aside from that, what I really appreciate here is that active HDR, which is their HDR mode, is automatically always working if you are in 4K 30 or below, which is what I shoot. So that means I don't have to go into a separate mode or turn it on or anything like that. It just kind of works. And that means the sky is going to be better exposed, as well as the shadows for a shot like this, for example. Typically, this would not look very good on a camera like this, but with HDR, it gives you a much more balanced image, which I like. So with the improvements to low light video, the ability to shoot 8K if you want to, and the active HDR that are always on, this does make a pretty great package for giving you some of the better image quality you can find in an action camera like this. Now, what Insta360 does best, I think, is software. And the Insta360 app that you're used to for using from 360 cameras that they make, you can also use for the Ace Pro. And kind of the same things you can do. You can select different areas, you can export them out so you can share them on social media. But what I like is that Insta360 built in an AI highlight feature so that while you're recording, AI is kind of analyzing what is happening, and it will automatically segment different sections that it thinks might be interesting that you might want to check out later. So when you go into edit, some of those are already selected for you. You can just make minor tweaks depending on what you want to share, but that way you don't have to scroll through the entire clip and figure out, you know, from start to finish what you want. This kind of takes that first step for you, and it's just another way that I think Insta360 is making their software even better. And of course, you get all the things like, you know, flow state stabilization, you get all the AI fun features. And that's what I think Insta360 is doing the best here. It's the whole package. If you take each individual part, maybe you can find something better or equal from some other company. But when you put it all together, you have the great software, you have pretty great image quality, you get the, you know, really good hardware. Putting that all together does make this a pretty great option. And of course, if you want to pick this up, I mean, this video is not sponsored, but Insta360 did send this out. So I've got a link down below. You can check that out and pick this one up for yourself. But yeah, Insta360 Ace Pro, I'm glad they are jumping into this market, and I'm excited to see what else they do with this.